Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geary, Stein Stevens Show, an amazing video podcast with sports stars, entertainment celebrities, and other great guests, combining one host who has no legs, one host who lives in Duluth, Minnesota, and another host who seems to never be on the show. But now, on to the show with Troy, Dave, and maybe even Will.
Show. Of course, I am Dave Stevens, and it is great to be here, coming to you from the home offices here in Bristol, Connecticut. And of course, I'm joined, as always, by my co-host in the middle of the West Coast, and that would be Troy Geary, joining me from Duluth, Minnesota. Troy and I are getting ready, eagerly awaiting us hitting ready to head to Super Bowl 58. And Troy, you got everything packed? You ready to head there?
Oh, I'm ready for Vegas. 10 days or so we're looking at.
Well, before we get to all the fun and the sun, we're going to have a guest on who has actually been in a Super Bowl. He was, in fact, running back in the days where the Patriots weren't the Patriots now, but this guy is a legend in the college football world, played college football at SMU, played USFL, played in the NFL. And I just am so excited to have Craig James joining us tonight. We're going to talk football, sport, all kinds of things. Craig, thanks for joining us.
Hey, man, thank you guys for having me. Now, I played in that Super Bowl, but playing might be, kind of stretching the truth. We got walloped. At least I got to be there, I guess. A lot of players have not been in the Super Bowl, so I'm grateful that I was there.
And we've seen a lot of the shows in those days since then that really talked about what those Bears were like, and just how they were prepared, and actually they shut kind of down in the second half, or it could have been a lot worse for you guys.
Yeah, you know what? And it's really, I keep hearing all these modern day guys talking about, hey, this evolving sport that we have here, the analytics and all this stuff. Football is blocking and tackling, and the Chicago Bears blocked and tackled as well as anybody. They could have played in this era of football. They were a great football team with good football coaches, and it's blocking and tackling, and they did it at a high level.
Look at that good-looking young man, and you really, other than a little gray, I mean, I don't look the same as I did back in 1983 and 81. But it is so great to have you here joining us, Troy.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that 1985 season. I mean, Super Bowl aside, I mean, that was your best year statistically in the NFL. Over 1,200 yards rushing, another 350 plus yards receiving. Just talk about the season that you had and the AFC Championship game against Dolphins, where not a lot of people gave you a chance.
And the Patriots had, I think, 18 straight times they'd played the Dolphins and not beaten them down there. So it was like not expected. But we had an identity. We knew that we were a running team. We were a physical football team. We had a really good defense led by Andre Tippett, and they turned the football over for us. And we had a mindset with a head football coach in Raymond Berry, who was a former player. He understood us well, and he knew that we like to be physical, and we were going to run the football. They knew we were going to run the football, but they had no way of stopping us.
And it didn't carry over the success. They always think you guys are going to get back there the very next year, and of course, neither team made it back, and there was not a dynasty for either one until the Patriots started that a long, long time later. I mean, you guys, did you ever think you were going to get back?
Dave, the next year, I thought we were going to the Super Bowl for sure. We were a better team. And we had to go out in the second round and play the Denver Broncos, a guy named John Elway. And John had other thoughts. We were in the lead, and they got us in the fourth quarter. That showed me how hard it is to repeat in football, in any sport. So a team like the Chiefs going 6 straight AFC Championship games, that's like incredible mental fortitude that they could do that. What the Patriots did with Brady and Belichick was unbelievable. And I think in any sport, players know how hard it is to do it week in and week out.
I want to ask you about your brother. He played 10 years in Major League Baseball. You were a pretty good baseball player yourself. The New York Yankees offered you a contract out of high school. Were you entertaining that offer, or do you just wanted to go play college football?
Well, I was love struck in high school, and my high school sweetheart, I followed her to SMU. It was actually the Phillies who offered me $125,000 out of high school, and I turned it down. That was a lot of money back in 1979. The Yankees asked me and offered me after my junior year of college. But at that point, I was so far down the road in football, and I was projected to be a number one draft choice. So I didn't do that. I did play 2 summers of college baseball, one of which I had to talk the team into letting my brother play with us. And so I'm glad that I played football. Chris had a great career in baseball. I used to enjoy going to watch him play, and he was definitely blessed. I walked in one time and watched him hit a home run off of Nolan Ryan, and I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
And you've had that lineage throughout your family and your kids and everything. I mean, as we talk about the different phases of what college football has been like, you played in a great era, a lot of legendary coaches. Then we got into the middle changes, and now we've got all this craziness with you can travel and change portals and change teams 4 or 5 times. I mean, do you like where college football has gone since your time?
Well, I like the fact that the players are being compensated. It's their professional years. 97 or 8% of those kids will never play in the NFL. So their earning years are between the years of 18 and 21 or 22 years. Why shouldn't they be able to earn money? It's unfortunate it's taken this long. It needs to get put together better, though. There needs to be a players association for all men and women in college athletics to have a voice at the table. And it is evolving and it's getting there. I don't like that you don't really have that guy that comes in as a freshman and he earns his way and you're waiting for him as a junior and all of a sudden he comes on and now he's a part of the team and the legacy of his university. So there's that missing piece to it. Coaches move, they're free to move. Players should be free to move, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Just a quick follow-up on that. Do you think the transfer portal, like Nick Saban is saying, is ruining college football?
Well, it's challenging the coaches. Not this season, but the previous season. I went to just about every practice at SMU. Rhett Lashley, the new coach there, he invited me down, and I drove down every morning and went to practices, meetings, and got to know the players and the team. I got to see the current culture of college football. After about week 4 or 5, the players that weren't playing or weren't getting the carries or the receptions that they thought they were going to get, now their mind starts thinking about, okay, where am I going to transfer? I need to have dad call and go see if someone's interested in me. It's a business. And the coaches today in college football must immediately, overnight, turn over a new roster. 30, 40 kids come in that are new from the high school ranks and those of the transfer portal. And you got to convince them that they're going to become a team. Teams win sports and championships, not individuals. So that's the greatest challenge that we have right now for Nick Saban. Saban had guys, he'd bring them in there and he'd work them for a year, get them going, and they'd have a great second or third season, and they go into the NFL. So the game has changed in that sense.
Greg, and we talked about SMU and that amazing career that you had there in that backfield. I mean, what are some of your memories as far as back in that day when you played and what the game was like? And again, watching those gazelle-like moves that you had.
First time I've been called a gazelle. I like it, Dave. Well, we were, again, Ron Meyer was the head coach. He was a tremendous organizer of talent and assistant coaches. We had a Hall of Fame coaching staff. Dante Scarnecchia was our offensive line coach, who went on as in the Hall of Fame, probably in the NFL. And so we were a team of great players that came from Houston. And once we figured out how to win, we were unstoppable. And you got to go back to that era. The Southwest Conference was, in my mind, like the modern day SEC. It was the place. It's where you wanted to play. It was Saturday. It was football. And it was the best players from the state of Texas going against each other. We knew each other. And so that era of football was fantastic for the region. It was a great regional rivalry that you had most every weekend. And our SMU football team, we had so many great players led by Eric Dickerson was a great player, great teammate. It's like a brother. I love him. I see him all the time. So it was a pleasure to play with a lot of our players at SMU.
Yeah, we talk about that 1-2 punch. As you mentioned, you guys were just legendary, and that turned into a great career for him and you. And talk a little bit about what that was like as Eric
Fluid.
ran in those days.
That at times he made it look
up and down the field. Yeah.
You know, it had we not been friends, it wouldn't have worked because we ran the I formation. So there was only one tailback. And so he'd start one game, I'd start the next. If he went and there was a turnover and it was after 2 plays, he'd go back in. Same for me. We were friends, and the coaches knew that we were working it out amongst ourselves. Over the career, I think he averaged 19 carries a game, and I averaged 17 carries a game. Watching him run, though, taught me how to run. The competition. He has said it before, and I've said it before. I think Eric said one time, we keep each other on our toes. And the competition in the weight room and the off seasons, he was such a great, powerful runner. Once he realized and figured out that he could run over you just as well as he could run away from you, then it was all bets off. And he became the NFL legend that he is.
Troy?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about, I want you to take you back to 1980. I know there's that guy again, Jim McMahon, in the Holiday Bowl, also known as the Miracle Bowl for our viewers. Just take you back to that day. You had a career day as well as in that game. Minus the ending, what do you most remember about that game and your performance?
Well, I'm gonna borrow my this trophy that's behind me. This is the Holiday Bowl MVP trophy. And I remember after the game, it was a blur. You know, they said, "Hey, you were the game's MVP," and I was like, "Oh, well, big whip-de-doo." You know, I'd give this back if we could take that victory. And Jim McMahon, those guys were great players. They had a team full of really good football players, and it was like, you know, they scored 21 points in the last like 2.5 minutes or something, and just a surreal experience. And it's one of those games now that I've gotten beyond it. I'm glad that I was a part of a historic college football bowl game. And my dad called me years later, and he said, "Hey, son, you watching the Holiday Bowl?" I said, "No, Dad, why?" And he goes, "Well, there's some dude running the football that's about to break your record." Is it this guy named Barry Sanders? I said, "Okay, Dad." Thanks for the update.
And then to pour salt on the wound, you face him in the Super Bowl years later, and he kind of does another thing, a record-setting Super Bowl performance.
Yeah.
Do you see him at golf tournaments and, you know, try to run him over with a golf cart or anything like that?
You know what? Nowadays, it's like, you know, when we see each other, it's like we're all glad that we remember who we are.
All right. Craig James joining us. We're going to continue to talk all kinds of stuff. We're going to delve into, this man is so amazing. He's done things. We're going to talk about his broadcasting career, his run at politics, all those kind of things. You're watching Geary, Stein, and Stevens. Don't go away.
They can strike anytime or anywhere. You can have one while giving a speech at your best friend's wedding or in the middle of your uncle's funeral. It's called a wingasm, and it occurs when you bet and win with MyBookie. And this football season, enjoy more wingasms than ever with new features like early cash out. So you can pull out and enjoy an early wingasm, then bet those funds immediately. Tired of waiting all day for your money? We've increased the speed of bet settlement. And with enhanced game lines and live betting and streaming, you can bet right up until kickoff, then place more bets during the game. Oh, and what would a new season be without our $100,000 Survivor contest? And a super contest with a cash pot of $250,000. Have more wingasms, more often with MyBookie.
Whoa. She's totally checking me out. She's probably looking at my arms. Or maybe just the shirt. I mean, the shirt is my secret weapon. It shows off my arms and doesn't cling to my stomach. Who could blame her?
Hey, I like your shirts. You want to get out of here?
Unleash your confidence with fresh, clean threads.
That's right. Fresh, clean threads, and I look good. I've got my fresh, clean threads wearing them tonight. We're back. Craig James joining us, and again, we talk about this amazing career, but little known things. And again, I work hard to find little known gems of our guests, things to maybe bring up some fun, maybe embarrass them again. But I found this whopper of a one that's going to make you feel as old as I felt unleashing this gem from the USFL. Take a listen.
On the other side, number 32, Craig James of the Washington Federals, another very big name in this league.
And a very fine football player. He's a strong, hard runner. His problem is how much blocking he's going to get, because the offensive line for the Federals is a little young, and you're only as good as an offensive lineman when you're a running back.
That's Lee Corso, who'll be with us all day, one of the most entertaining men in football.
Yeah, how about that? 41 years ago, Craig, and you played in a stadium where there were literally no one there, and this was professional football, and again, they were trying to build their offense around you. Donald Trump owned the Generals. He's back somehow doing stuff in the world that I don't know what he does these days, but, what was that like to play in the USFL? Hearing Lee Corso talk about you 41 years ago.
Oh, my gosh. Well, one time we were at practice, and we had a player on our team named Coy Bacon, and Coy was like 40 years old. He may have been older, and here I am, a 21-year-old, and he had played for the Redskins. He was a legend in the NFL. And I remember asking him one day, I said, Coy, is this really like pro football? He goes, "You're getting paid, ain't you, kid?" I said, "Well, there are rumors I was being paid the previous 4 years I played." He was like, "Well, you got me there." You know what it was? There were a lot of good players in that league. Really were a lot of Doug Flutie, and the list is huge of players.
Jim
Reggie
Kelly.
White.
I mean, I go through the stats, and you're seeing Chris Carter and all these guys. So the football didn't suck. It's just it was not planned out well. But good memories, or what was a vastly difference once you went from the USFL to the NFL?
Well, okay, so I have to keep it within context when I think about this answer. In the context of time, I'm really glad that I did it. It was an adventure. It gave me a chance to do something unique. I was the fourth player selected in the league draft. It was flattering.
This picture, by the way, that's not flattering. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you look like an Indian chief. That's supposed to be art of you. But anyway, go on. We'll look at some other USFL stuff.
Well, it was fun to be around something that was in the inaugural season, right? But we were really arguably maybe one of the worst teams ever. I'd gone from a 15-0 state championship team in high school in Texas. I'd gone to the conference champion teams, really a national championship team at SMU. And now all of a sudden I'm playing in Washington for the Federals in the wake of John Riggins and the Washington Redskins and their world championship. So it was, I have great memories. I'm glad I did that. I'm really glad that the NFL, we were able to work it out. The Patriots had drafted me in case it didn't work out, so that I was able to transition over to the Patriots and play in the NFL. But I did get beat up pretty good.
And of course, after that career, you jumped into the broadcasting booth, and I can't move away from this segment without finding a couple of those little gems as well. Take a listen.
You know what? They just happen to be offsides. It's just big. Way to go, Coach Belima. Give it to the old fart.
And West Virginia's slowly getting it going a little bit here late in the game, but South Florida defense is taking it to them.
Swarming bulls. That's the worst kind of thing you can have out in the pastures, a bunch of swarming bulls. But know this, especially the Big East. the Big East, just showing you their data. Watch out, Charles.
Let's just continue. Rutgers and Syracuse.
Oh, I used to love watching you with John Saunders. What a wonderful guy he was to work around and to just see the fun. We worked at ESPN, but we didn't see each other, didn't meet until the softball game a couple of months ago. But just your memories of working on TV and actually trying to be a critic without hurting and upsetting people like we're seeing a lot of those guys do today.
Yeah, that, I was blessed to have worked with a lot of great announcers, and John Saunders being right at the top of the list. Very dear friend, and tragically, life ended too soon for him. But he and Flutie and the guys that we had, the camaraderie, at that time, there wasn't 1,000 different outlets. And when I started ESPN in '91, when we went on Thursday nights, you had to know what you're talking about. True journalism came into play, and you were expected to do that, Dave, and so was I. And there's Fowler. When Chris Fowler and Lee Corso and I started College Game Day for 5 years, going on the road and doing what we did, I have to, again, stay within context of that time and why I left ESPN to go to CBS. I had 4 kids at home that were young. I was missing them. I was gone all the time. Tarico Theismann and I were doing Monday night countdown show. I was never at home. So I needed that for my family. I don't regret doing that. I'm very thankful that I had a chance to experience those early years at ESPN. I mean, man, it was just crazy early. We used to argue. We had to wear a blue blazer. And I remember I finally got him to go to a different shade of blue on the blazer. And that was a big deal. And we used to script everything. The directors, they used to know it would be like, okay, Chris to Craig, Chris to Lee, Lee to Craig, to Chris. And then they finally figured out, let us go. Let us just let it flow. And great chemistry, a great time. Herb Street came in, and they have had a phenomenal run with College Game Day. And I'm glad that I had a chance to get back to ESPN in 2003 and spend another almost 10 years.
And Craig, you've been so forthright in the things and the challenges that have happened in your career. You left to go to another organization, and some things didn't work out. Some things were attributed that weren't true, and all those kind of things. I mean, did it leave a bad taste in your mouth to go through something like that, so public and so personal, and yet you still came out on top because of your faith?
Yeah, man. Thank you, Dave. No, there's no doubt about that. My faith has been the foundation for how I've been able to get what I've done and to sustain the dips in the run. I think I was kind of at the tip of the spear when it came to kind of canceling out. And I made some comments when I was running for the United States Senate in a debate standing right next to Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz had the same question, and we answered it. And it came back to haunt me 18 months later. Didn't even say another word about it. And so I'm okay with that. It ended a 23-year run, and I miss camaraderie. I miss this. I miss having sometimes a stage to say things about the transfer portal or about the analytics in the NFL, this or that. I miss sometimes having a stage for that. But in general, I'm a grandfather of 7, about to be 8, and I'm called Pop C. And I'm able to see them, have fun with them, and be goofy. One of my 5-year-old grandsons, though, he said to me the other day, he goes, "Pop C, how come your jokes are not cool and funny?"
You got to let him see some of your clips on TV where you're busting people up. Those are good times, and we really miss you. I do. I know I do, and I miss you. As far as seeing that fun thing, they keep phasing these old guys out. They get rid of the Bermans and the Tom Jacksons and all these guys, and now we got the McAfees, God bless them, doing it differently. And again, it's that 7-second TikTok mentality. If they're not screaming and seeing, they're going to click that dial, right, Troy?
Yeah, there's way too much of that these days. I mean, I I was talking to Dave earlier before the show, and you're working with a guy like Mike Patrick, just a legend, on Sunday Night Football, and you did college football with him, and just all those old school guys that we miss.
Man, a guy like Mike Patrick, what a stud, what a great announcer. I was blessed to work with Jim Nance, one of the all-time greats. Did work with Boomer. And in that era, it was a different thing. You were expected to have a professionalism about you. We had fun. We cut up. But we weren't over the top. When I was at CBS, we were on site, and it was Nance and Ditka and Randy Cross, Jerry Glanville, and I were about to announce doing the studio stuff at the site for the AFC Championship game. And Sean McManus, the president, he walks over and he says, "I want to remind you guys, don't get goofy, because we have a lot of different viewers that are coming in watching today for the first time all season." And so, I'm glad I got to announce when we did. It was broadcasting, and you had a camaraderie, and you went on the road, and on Thursday night you did your deal, and you went out and had a beer or had dinner afterwards. You went into the next game, and there was just a fellowship that I don't think that they have today.
Well, it's been great to see what you've done, and to, hopefully one of these networks should come pick you up and utilize you, somewhere down the road to continue to do the amazing things that you've been doing on TV.
Well, that's nice of you. I'm sure they know how to get a hold of me, but I don't. It'd take a lot of prying to get me back.
Well, we'll put out all your social media stuff afterwards. Stay with us. You're watching Geary, Stein, and Stevens. We're going to pay bills one more time. Come back and put a pretty bow on this with the amazing Craig James. Thanks, Craig. We'll see you in a second.
Hi, everybody. Dave Stevens from the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show. And Troy and I are on the road all the time covering games, doing things, my motivational speaking. But I have connected with LifeWave, which has really changed my life. And it's an amazing patch that not only helps me to live my life, it keeps me very active. Tammy Wellman is joining me. And now, Tammy, you put these patches on me. It is a stem cell regeneration plan. But tell us a little bit more how it works.
Yeah, so these patches are amazing. They're wearable wellness. They're non-transdermal patches. Nothing goes in your body. Your body gives off light. They capture it and they activate your body's own repair system. Your body goes to work to heal things that are in need of healing. Pain reduction, things like that.
It gave me an opportunity to play in the Celebrity Softball Classic. This video of my base hit, I wouldn't have done it without these patches. So please, if you want to know more about this product, go to patchit.life. LifeWave, it's changing my life. Hi, everybody. Dave Stevens here for the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show from Tropicana Field, home of the Tampa Rays. And you know what? Not everybody can be a Major League Baseball player, but you can look like $1 million. What's the best way to do that? Well, go to freshcleanthreads.com. Don't believe me? That's right. You can look professional, feel good, and not spend a lot of money by wearing Fresh Clean Threads. They have amazing shirts. They've got Henleys and polos, long sleeves, and even bomber jackets. And if you like them, you can save some money by typing in the show code GSS Show from the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show to save 20% off. So if you can't be a major leaguer and you want to dress like one, well, go to freshcleanthreads.com. That's freshcleanthreads.com. Tell them Dave sent you. Use that code GSS Show.
That's right. Troy, we've got a new sponsor that is a part of our group. It is mybookie.ag. And again, you go to the website, you can learn and play and parlay and do all the kind of things. And plus, if you sign up and type in the GSS show code, you get 50% off. They'll match on top of that up to $1,000, 50%. Troy, this thing's amazing. I mean, people can make a lot of money on this.
Yeah, and with the Super Bowl coming up, all these different prop bets. I mean, you can bet on the national anthem, how long it is, to who scores first. So plenty of opportunities to win some money.
That's right. It's mybookie.ag. And again, I know a lot of people, my sons, they're making some money too. So I wish they'd start kicking back since we turned them on to it. But mybookie.ag. And since we're going to be in Vegas, well, a lot of people are going to be putting a lot of money on this game. So go to mybookie.ag, type in GSS show code, start winning that money. Right, Troy?
Oh, yeah. That's Vegas, capital of the world. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of betting, a lot of stuff going on.
It is so weird. And as we get into our third segment with Craig James, and I'll just go right off the top, did you ever think we would see a time where we would see gambling just be on everything? ESPN now has a site. Like, the world has changed.
1991, 92, we started the Thursday night weekend kickoff show, Corso and Fowler and I, and they wanted us to start talking about betting, but we had to do it this way. I really like the Hurricanes to beat Clemson big, okay? We couldn't say at that time, but, punt the points or take the points. So we started that process because people were tuning in on Thursday nights. There wasn't the internet and all this stuff going on. So yeah, now it's Katie bar the door, genie's out the bottle.
And speaking about a genie, if you could go back into time and you went through the process of yourself recruiting in college, and then you had the process with your son and everything he went through, and with the recent passing of his former coach. I'm just kind of wondering, is there any update, and just kind of let everybody, I love to let people tell their own story. There's so many accusations and things that weren't said and falsehoods. Can you just give us an update on what happened and where we stand today?
Yeah, you know what? That was a tough season of life for our family. Tough for everyone involved in that. And I will say this: Adam says Mike was a really good coach, and he had a bad moment. And unfortunately, we were a part of something that was bigger than us. And right now, I can say this. Here's the update that I would say about it, Dave. Adam did stay at Tech. He graduated from Texas Tech. He played his junior year, and then he played his senior year. He played 2 more years of football there, and his senior year was one of the leaders, if not a captain, and he was an all Big 12 receiver. He loves Texas Tech. His wife's from Tech. He has 3 kids. They all are Red Raiders. Adam pulls for them, watches them, and whether it's basketball, baseball, whatever it is, he's a Red Raider. And he endured. And I think, there are a lot of folks that just don't know. There was so much written and so much said that was false that people have made their mind up about how they feel about what happened. And it was unfortunate for everyone. And I'm glad it's in our rearview mirror.
Well, Craig, as I said, we are all over the place tonight. And another part.
Thank you for tuning in to the Geary, Stein Stevens Show. Follow us on social media. Watch us on yourhometv.com, or now we're on Roku. Download it and watch us. And thanks for tuning in. Until next time, America.
Was 3 years ago. He had been out and he said, this is a game. You have to play the game. You have to work the system. And that was what I was against. I was like, why? I don't want to work the system. The system's not good for us, Republicans or Democrats. And so I'm glad I did it. It definitely was an expensive experience. And I would not recommend it to people. But we need people. We need men and women. There are so many men and women on both sides of the aisle that are qualified, that love America, that love the Constitution, that love the protections and the freedoms that we've had in this country, that are qualified, that just won't run because, as you said, you're going to get picked apart.
Yeah, and I'm not here to say who I am or for, but our 2 choices are going to be 80-year-old men, and we can't come up with better, more diversified, qualified people that are more in touch with society. That's why I'm at a loss of, like, really, we can't come up with, better people that really want to be servants, that don't have horrible track records or ethics or anything that is on both sides. The accusations are there, but I'm scared. Like, I don't know what we're in for.
Where do we go? What's our option? We don't have an option. America is the last great place on the planet. And I have to remind myself, and I know God's sovereign. He is in control, and He knows the outcome. We have to support whoever our leader is, and I'm hoping that the system will allow itself to flush a little bit to bring some newness in for both sides of the aisle.
And I'd like to follow that up real quick, because, again, you played in an era that didn't have social media and didn't, everything you said wasn't always written, and sometimes you were protected by sports writers. But, Tim Tebow was destroyed for his beliefs, and I think it cost him a job in the NFL, and I think it cost him a lot of things. I mean, could you have lived your career nowadays and been as forthright of your beliefs and not just been destroyed?
Yeah, I think I could have, Dave. I used to read the Bible. We had a Bible study group with the Patriots at SMU. I mean, most of our team, we were in a Bible study together. And I think there would have been support in that era from the people that matter. You're never going to please everyone. And it's okay for someone to have an opinion that they don't like what I'm doing or what I believe in. I believe Jesus Christ is Lord. And it's okay if you don't believe that. But don't tell me I can't believe that. And that's where we've come to now. And there's a line in the sand. And I just there's so much hatred and so much angst in this country, man. You can't go down the road without somebody wanting to road rage with you. You can't go to the grocery store. Someone's mad that you're in front of them. These are trying times for sure.
Well, Craig, before we move on, I just want to commend you for sticking up to your beliefs in religion, even though it cost you quite a bit, and I admire you for that. So
thank you, man.
We both met you a couple months ago at the Celebrity Softball Classic in Frisco. If anybody ever needs a pitcher, Craig is a heck of a pitcher. Talk about that experience. That day we had some great times.
I love playing in that game. It was so much fun seeing you guys. I look forward to doing it next year. And I got to tell you, I wasn't planning on pitching, and so it's like doing lunges. My left butt cheek was sore for 2 months. I had to ice it. It was terrible.
Well, you should have used your LifeWave patches, that we were connected with, of course, that you can find at patchit.life. No, but yeah, it was so fun. And we just had Nancy Lieberman on the show recently again. Just so great to connect with people like you that, again, our paths never got to cross when we worked at ESPN, and just to be able to have that fellowship and to talk and to have some really frank discussions about life and things like that. I really enjoyed getting to know you now and continuing this friendship.
Yeah. Y'all, you guys ever have a question or something I can weigh in on or a thought? Let me know. I'd love to join y'all. I really appreciate you guys asking me to be a part of your show, and it's great seeing both of you.
All right. Well, Troy, any final thoughts?
Well, again, Craig, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy night, grandkids running around to join us, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
You got it, guys. Y'all have a great one. Great seeing you, and thank you.
Thanks, Craig. Legendary Craig James joining us from his home. And again, just Google the man, and he's just not a football player. He's done so much. And again, oh, by the way, biggest challenge as a grandpa?
The biggest challenge is not to be too big of a goofball. I love watching them play flag football, basketball, softball, and I just sit there quiet and I watch. And my wife's like, "Man, that umpire doesn't know what he's doing," and she's pushing on me. So I stay under the radar, but it's so much fun. They're between 5 and 9 years old, and 7 of them, and one more coming. And man, it's like I feel like our kids were just that age. And now here I am watching my grandkids. It's really fun. They have no idea, by the way. They have no idea. They come in my office and they see all these footballs and trophies and things. And they're like, "Pop C, you're too old. You could never have played football." So I'm going to have to make a video of myself to show them I really could run and play.
Well, they can see this episode and they can see your running and stuff. You can catch it on your home TV and Roku. And again, thanks everybody for your support. We'll be at Radio Row. We got some great sponsors, some great guests already booked. Lee Steinberg stopping by. So again, everybody, we can't thank you enough for the love and support of the Geary, Stein Stevens Show. For Troy, for Craig, and myself, we'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Geary, Stein Stevens Show. Follow us on social media. Watch us on yourhometv.com, or now we're on Roku. Download it and watch us. And thanks for tuning in. Until next time, America.